some tea. Lives a man with a funnel plan as clever as can be. He ditched his law degree for plugins that go zing. Now WooCommerce dances every time he pulls a string. Hey, evil genius, he's got a plugin for that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, very, very, very happy to be back here. Sorry for the slow delay. I am fighting Canadian wildfires on my own. Yesterday, I was out with with my leftover N95 out for a jog because Chicago is blanketed in thick brown Canadian wildfire smoke, which, what can I say about that? Hope you guys are doing well wherever you're at. Sorry about last week. I have been enjoying the fact, sorry, my mic's messed up. My youngest son is at overnight camp, and last week had the visiting day weekend, which officially marks the beginning of the middle of summer. But things have been really going well, and today I'm excited because we are going to go further into the video production area stuff, which is for most of you guys. Good morning, Lloyd. By the way, Lloyd, thank you for joining. Audio video check. If everything's good, let me know. I have validation on multiple levels how well the use of these tools for specific marketing purposes and for content creation purposes is the ultimate value proposition here. We've discussed this before, but today I'm going to go into detail how, whether it be for your own business, whether it be for the little mom and pop shop around the corner, thank you, Lloyd, whether it be for a larger scale client, whether it be for just creating audiences. We are in a brave new world where all of us now have the Hollywood movie studio potential to create things for ourselves or our clients that used to cost hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And I am not, in this particular instance, exaggerating. Perhaps in the past I might have, but now I'm not. And here's why I say that. I have real world client situations that I'm going to use today along with the tools that demonstrate we are now in a world where the human relationship is first, the expediency to deliver is second, but the tools are virtually there for every single person to use. And this has paradoxically created a backwards problem. 99% of the people that I speak to who are in business realize intuitively, or just from observing around them, that the world has changed fast and all of their competitors are using these tools and doing these wild and crazy things. And they are essentially saying, I need to know how to do that. I need to do that. If I don't do that, I'm out of business. Combine that with what I'm going to call bad behavior by the elite class of like the new Gilded Age. Meta, who, oh, God forbid, isn't making enough money, has started to crack down on basic profit margin centers for people who would use things like Meta for advertising. Here's an example. I have clients that have previously said, look, if I am spending money for ads in Meta, I wanted to have a certain degree of control over the audience and what was displayed and when it was displayed. And also I needed to get a return on ad spend that was enough to make it worthwhile. By the way, I also wanted to use a corporate credit card to pay for the gigantic budget that I spent on Meta ads. Well, I guess to Zuck, having everything isn't enough because A, they stopped allowing for credit cards to be used. You have to pay a premium now, or you have to have direct withdrawal from your bank account. So like an intravenous blood transfusion, take it right out of your wallet. It's not good enough for them to give the 2.9% and the 3% leverage. Number two is that the ads are clearly just being dumped. When I say dumped, I mean like if you're ever doing any kind of ads, whether it be in Google or Facebook or Instagram or any of these other areas, in Meta in particular, there's just clear evidence that as soon as somebody is in an audience, they're getting the ads dumped. So imagine a real world situation where you're sitting at a dinner table and maybe you're with a person you're amorous with, And the guy comes over and says like, hey, would you like me and the guys to play the instruments for you? Or would you like to buy some roses? And you go, no, thank you. We're fine. We're just talking. Imagine if the guy came back 20 times in 5 minutes. That's essentially what's happening with Facebook ads. For most people, they have zero control over when and where and why the things get placed. And then even though they're spending this huge budget, the algorithm is just dumping 20 ads all into one space, all in 5 minute period, which means that the people are just like, la, 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 you know, or they hit the button that says not interested. That is the opposite of what you should be doing. So what we're going to talk about today, I did not make slides because it's a practical show, is I'm going to discuss with you how the use of the social media aspect of this allows us now to build and create something that is not only quite unique in the space, but also gives full control to spend every last penny on actually just putting out social media posts into an existing audience or into a collaborative audience with somebody, if you have these relationships, that would have a vested interest in pointing their audience members to what you're doing. All right. So to that end, let's do today. I'm going to try to keep this real. Let's do today. I'm going to try to share the screen in a way that does not cause havoc. Hopefully this is going to work. You guys know that I have the dance with sharing screens. I'm going to go for a window share. I'm going to go for a window share that I think is going to pull it off, that I can tab around in there. Let's see. I'm showing a little. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. I'm going to actually come back to this little doodad. All right. Let's talk about some basics first of all, because let's also, by the way, I'm going to change my ratio here. And to make this easier, sorry guys, you know how I have to do this. I'm going to adjust this window to fit the screen a little better. Okay, I think I can live with that. All right, let's talk about some basic concepts and what I'm going to show you. First of all, the components that we're dealing with are in the MinuteLaunch suite. I have been so busy and so excited about all of the tools. I'm going to do a quick review. Good morning, Jonathan. I'm going to do a review of the current tool set, and there's even more to come. In fact, as of last evening, I just released a new tool that's a necessity tool as part of this conversation, which is called MinuteLaunch Transcriber. MinuteLaunch Transcriber is live. I actually, to prove a point, and in fact, Jonathan was emailing me yesterday about people who talk about the fact that WordPress is dead and they're vibe coding stuff now. I don't disagree that the old WordPress of plugins is dead. I mean, anybody who's making plugins now, God bless you. What I feel is that the box of WordPress is never been better, but that the MinuteLaunch system, the stack, is my way of saying, this is what I would do from 2 years ago, from last July's hot tub moment to today. This is how we do it. And the point being, notice I can iterate a stack of toggle on, centrally managed virtual plugins. You can activate or deactivate any or all of them. You can update them with one click. There is none of the nonsense of the old metaphor of zip files that have to be uploaded and unpacked and getting the license key and all this stuff. Similarly, since these are all virtual, they're extremely lightweight. Somebody can install this stack with one free plugin. We've talked about this endlessly. And you'll notice that even though you have a stack of everything here, what's ultimately going to happen is that this is just going to go away. I mean, the idea of having to set up WordPress and the infinite number of choices on the sidebar is going to go away in favor of what we're really already doing, which is that you're going to have agentic control through an interface that you prefer, whether it be desktop or laptop or phone or whatever. And Fernando, your agentic dude, is going to use any or all of these tools. Okay. So what we've got today is MinuteLaunch Transcriber, and I'm going to use for that. I set up a demo here. MinuteLaunch Transcriber is essentially a tool that allows you to take a phone call or any conversation that you had had that was audio, or you could use other things as well. I mean, for example, here's the use case. I get a phone call from a client. I get a phone call from a collaborator. I use an Apple iPhone, but you can use anything you want. On the iPhone, when you are in a phone call, there's no way I'm going to be able to show this, but when you are in a phone call, you can click and record the phone call. It's a pretty neat new feature, right? So iOS record phone call. An iOS 18, which it doesn't even have to be 18, it's on later versions. You can click on the record icon and it records the whole phone call, and it's available there as a transcript, but only if you wait forever. Furthermore, once you've got it in that transcript, you still need to do something with it. Whereas the recording itself is available nearly immediately. So if I went into my, let me see if I can show you this. If I went into my phone, you can see there's a call with Howard Enkin from Enkin Law. That transcript would take forever on my phone because it was an hour, 2-hour phone call. The audio is available right away. So what this does is this allows me to take any audio and immediately transcribe it and make it available to Fernando and the rest of the tools. This is valuable because we've already discussed this with Fathom, but that's where most of your ideas are going to happen. They're going to happen because, oh, I was just getting a phone call from a client and we were just discussing their new landscaping business or their new, blankety blank business or whatever. And it will transcribe any conversation. So let's just go on the internet, sample phone call recording MP3. I have no idea what I'm going to get here, but let's just grab one. Download. Let's see if there's one in here. File examples, download platform. Okay. So this doesn't look like, I just want to download. I mean, I actually can just take a call that I had done, which was myself and Howard. So let's just, I'll replay this. So Howard and I had a phone call. I think I have it on this. Right. So you, for some reason, cannot see it when I do overlays, but I'm choosing a file that I had downloaded from my phone called Howard Enkin M4A. That M4A is media file 4. That's the format that is used by Apple when they record on the phone. And then at this point, I can also search for it from a media library or a URL. So if I had an online source, I can also just put in the source, which is super easy. Here I can choose which model I want to use for transcription. Now, out of the box, you can just leave this alone and use OpenAI's Whisper. But these are all of the open router LLMs that are specialties or have a specialty of doing transcription. And then you can also hint at the language. Auto is fine, but if it's in Spanish or something, it'll just make it easier. Now, all you do is click transcribe. That's it. So imagine a situation where, like with the Fathom tool, and I'll remind you guys what Fathom tool does, you can immediately take any kind of conversation otherwise, and it brings it in, okay? Now, I don't know what this little sample was of. This is not the phone call I had. This was some kind of other nonsense sample. But the cool thing is, now we've got the raw thing. Next, we could say, let's format it into something useful. We can switch it into clean mode. And again, we can choose model of LLM to do this. Cleanup mode is going to take it and break it into proper formats, check grammar, spelling. You can see the difference right away, right? We could do another method, which is break it up into speakers, which is it will do its best to try to figure out when there's an alternating voice, right? So speaker 1, this happens to have only one speaker, but speaker 1 and so forth. And then final is summary action items. That's kind of cool because that allows you to actually take from this important stuff that happened in the phone call. So imagine you're having a phone call with a client and this is like, okay, great. I don't know where this sample came from, but it was like, the speaker recalls spending school breaks accompanying their father to court. I think this was me talking about my father who had passed away recently, but the point was this gives you the key points and it summarizes it. Now, each of these is available to be used by, you guessed it, if we go back over here to transcribe, they can be used directly or indirectly by Fernando in the site or out of the site, because now the box holds all of the transcripts, and each of these transcripts is available to be used for other purposes. So I can download these and use them elsewhere. I can archive it. If I want, I can view, this was the actual call, right? So if I was to look at the call, this is, we're talking about that's Ink and Law, which I'm going to share with you today. This long phone call. And by the way, notice Open Router, it only cost me 2 cents to transcribe. But now I've got this whole thing broken up. And where is this going to be utilized? Well, in a couple different places. First of all, I've got in the settings menu the ability to share this directly. If I wanted to just use this tool by itself, I simply create a copy bundle, copy this connection bundle, and I can go to any LLM anywhere, anytime. Let's test this out. I'm going to go to a fresh Claude. Good morning, Fernando. It's Spence. I want to test out this new ML transcriber. I'm going to give you a set of tools and a key. Do not share or publish it, but let me know if you can access the transcript. Okay, just paste it in. That's it. That's all we need to do. Now, 99.9% sure, he's going to be like, no problem, Jefe. Claro que sí. Let's see if he's talking to me in Spanish today. And the idea is whether you use the MinuteLaunch Lab, MinuteLaunch Coach, whether you use a tool on your desktop, whatever, I've now achieved, as I'm going to show you, complete continuity between your desktop, the browser, the desktop tools, your internal guy. The data is never lost. It stays in the box that you own and control, which is a huge value proposition if you think about it in terms of gathering and using stuff. While he's doing that, if we go back over to MinuteLaunch and we go over to where I actually use Fathom, here's Fathom, which does the same thing for my Zoom phone calls. Here was a conversation that I had with Howard Enkin and the rest of his office that pulled in the whole thing, has the AI summary, has the ability to not only watch the video again if I want to of the live thing, but to create different aspects of this, like what was important. It can even, with a new feature, draft an email about this. Hola, John. I'm going to come back to Lloyd's question. Good morning, John. Good to see you. Hopefully you're having a good vacation. But drafting an email in MinuteLaunch Mail about this is crazy awesome. So in other words, I'm able to actually say, here, we just had a big phone call and here's what I want to write you about. And it instantly creates the email, sends it over to the MinuteLaunch Mail, which, as you guys remember from last week before, MinuteLaunch Mail is instantly connected agentic email so that you have to do no setup to get yourself or a client going. And it also has all the capabilities I'm describing, which is that everything talks to itself. In other words, this data, the emails, the phone call, all of it is connected as a system. Okay, so let's go over and see if Claude did a good job. Bueno, good day, boss. Fernando here. Connection is verified. All the functions. Okay, so now let's ask him. I think you see 2 transcripts in there. Can you tell me a little bit about the transcript with Ink and Law in his office, the longer one? I think it was a phone call from yesterday. Just give me a quick 2-sentence summary of what I talked about. Okay, it's going to be like, you talked to Howard Enkin about Fernando working in the office doing the new That's Enkin Law production stuff. Because that's one of the things I'm going to share with you, whether it be in law, in medicine, pharmaceuticals, health, dating, whether it be contractors, whether it be real estate, any and all, everybody has something that needs marketing, needs lead generation, needs sales funnels, needs the basic mechanics, and they need to get new contacts, new leads, new prospects through a method that is not Mark Zuckerberg's ripping them off through spending thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, so look, he was able to get the transcript of the call and talk to me about it, and he can do anything he needs to do now. The takeaway being, he's in Claude browser, not over there. Now, here's a big magic trick that's not part of the production stuff, but I want to make it clear to you. We've got a new feature in place, which is crazy awesome, and it's in development. It's called MinuteLaunch Workspace. This is part of what's going to be the desktop manager as well. And to use this, I'm going to actually see if I've got it set up here. Okay. So this is with an actual website of mine. The workspace is, let's say I've got Fernando over here connected to some aspect of my WordPress box. And I've got a desktop guy doing stuff. And I've got a guy in a remote site doing stuff. And I've got MinuteLaunch Lab doing stuff. I've got all these agentic tools, and they're all working together on what is essentially the same data for the same customer, same outcome. But the stuff is spread out everywhere. What MinuteLaunch Workspace allows, even as of today, is for all of their work product to be saved and stored in a central location so they can access it. And that means that whether you're on your desktop, whether you're in the browser, whether you're in a specific tool like Claude Code or Perplexity or whatever, they have access to all of your projects, all of your skills, all of your context. I used this last night because my normal developmental cycle is using a tool called Cursor. But with Cursor, the costs keep going up exponentially if you use Fable or one of the things. And I ran out of money, or at least I said I don't want to keep paying more money. So I switched over to using Claude. And using Claude plus the workspace, Claude was able to talk to the same site, get all the data, store it locally, manage it, save it, move it up. And we also have another tool in here that I'll talk about another day that is called AI Usage Guardrails. This is a tool that I put in place so that if you or your clients are using the site and they want to limit their spending, they want to say like, look, we want to allow the team or our customers to use free models or free models up to $5, $6, certain models. This gives 100% control over any and all use of any of the agentic choices so that you don't end up with a situation where like the user or the team member goes and chooses Anthropic's Fable 5.0 and it's $120 round trip. Instead, you end up using something appropriate like GLM 5.2, which is like $1.23. The idea is we have granular level control. This is where it's starting to get really good. And in answer to Jonathan's question to me over the email last night about where's WordPress going, having this control is only possible because I've built a platform where everything is working as a contiguous system. Like Ingvar built IKEA, not IKEA all at once. He built it granularly over time, and the systems revealed themselves, but they were always continually working towards the greater whole outcome. Let's go to Lloyd's question. Here's what MinuteLaunch Transcribe does. MinuteLaunch Transcriber. I have used and still do for other reasons 11 Labs, which is a paid service. It's very economical and it has incredible capabilities of doing things like creating voices. This is where I create a lot of custom voices for doing stuff. I've also used fish.audio, which is an alternative. It's a little cheaper and I've been experimenting with that. But the deal is, like everything I've been suggesting, we're moving into a space where OpenRouter has dozens of models that do the same thing for basic purposes like transcription. And since I've got this platform, which you have the same use of these tools, I just decided let's build a specialty tool that will do this one thing that I already do when I'm doing Fathom calls, but this is for when I'm on my iPhone. So I can just immediately finish the call, send the audio into the system. Once it's in the media library, ta-da, I've got access to the data to do stuff like, hey, Fernando, write a letter using the MinuteLaunch style, right? And just to make a point, he knows this. Hey, Fernando, you've got a skill called the WP Launchify email template skill. Just write a quick email in that format and show it here for my audience because I'm on live office hours of how you'd write a quick letter to Howard that says, hey, Howard, great talking to you. I look forward to our call today at 11 o'clock about That's ink and law. Okay. So, and I'll say, and sign it, Fernando. Why is this relevant? Claude currently under Anthropic has a $200 ultra plan that I pay for. I seemingly have endless use of Fable because of special like discounts and subsidies. I have in my sites Open Router for choosing everything else and even included Anthropic. But this guy is really awesome. And he's also on my phone and he's also mobile. So now I can use this guy, but he connects to all the same stuff and knows about all the same stuff. And he can produce work products. So like a typical use case for this is, I don't know if you'll see this, but if I go into Claude on my phone, I'm not saying exclusively, but I am saying if I go into Claude on my phone, because I'm just in a regular chat, I will have access to testing MinuteLaunch Transcriber as a conversation here. And I can then use, I got to go switch over here. I got to go into, I'll pull this up, but let me just show you what it would look like. I have access to, let's see if you're going to see this. Hold on. I have access to this. You'll never see this, but this conversation on my phone. And if I go into talking to him mode, which by the way, will be a soon feature of MinuteLaunch Lab Guy, you'll just be able to talk. I could be at the gym, which is like happened to me many times. John Lawler can attest to this, where I'm just talking to him and he has access to all my stuff. And I could just like literally the dream has come true of Fernando. Do this, do that, do the other thing, send it out, organize this, take care of that. Tell me what I got to do. I'm on like 2026 version of Spence. And that's incredible. Okay. So I don't want to belabor this because I wanted to do media today, but I wanted to make clear the reason that these things all connect and attach is because now you're liberated to use the right tool for the right job. John is asking about access across different sites. And that's where this new MinuteLaunch Desktop Manager comes in, which if I can preview it here, let's see. Oh, I hate when this does this. This doesn't, I'm going to open this in another window. Let me finish each piece and then I'll show. Oh, well, hold on. Let me do this. This is what's coming, the next part, which there's a desktop. You can't see it. It's right here. When I click this thing, I've got a desktop site manager. Imagine I can add now all of my client sites. All of my client sites have a central desktop place where I can just essentially manage all the work from one spot, or I could do this on a phone. And that way I can manage with one central Fernando all the work that's being done on all of the WordPress sites with the same set of tools, and they can cross collaborate, they can share. I mean, it really gets kind of amazing because of the capability and the power. So yes, definitely in that regard. All right, let's see. He created, again, the skill in the template was the WP Launch File Letter, Howard Ink and Ink and Law. Great to talk to you. You know, this is just like taking live. This is what I'm doing all day long. And I'm closing clients. I'm selling stuff left and right because everything that they do now is not perfect, but it's in alignment. It's set up. Okay. So what's the next step besides that? Well, there's MinuteLaunch Persona. MinuteLaunch Persona has been something that has been my dream. Before we do that, I want to show you an update to MinuteLaunch Lab because this has been my workhorse. MinuteLaunch Lab has had such great refinement. And the reason is because I want it to be a optimal tool to use for everything that you're not using when you're not in the native browser of Anthropic or ChatGPT. So we've added features, for example, project management, chat management, sharing amongst the users of the site, or granular control, having the ability to have the agentic tool create task lists or create items in the canvas, having extensive and very detailed rules, profile, context, reference, so that when it makes or does something correctly, it makes a rule about it. It makes a skill about it. It has a profile for me or the different users. So he very quickly goes from like dumb tool at 10 cents on the dollar to incredible powerful tool. Notice at the bottom here, we've also added how much money you have left in the till, We have the background capabilities, the web search, the autonomous. You have the ability here, which is really amazing, to use auto or specific tools. You can also filter and sort. But when you put this together with the capability of the AI usage capper, this means that whether it's you or your team member, nobody can go out of bounds and suddenly drain the $32 by using one phone call to Fable and Anthropic. Instead, I put in like $50 and I've been doing crazy amounts of work. Now, one of the neat tools you'll notice here is that, see where it says, like, when I'm talking to Fernando here, and he's doing the strategy of writing scripts, notice where it says Canvas. These are reference linked to Canvas entries. I've now made the Canvas much more useful for a lot of reasons. First of all, you can see that it's got all of the various entries, and I can toggle and remove the list. But when I'm actually working with stuff, he's making the scripts for me that are going into MinuteLaunch Persona that allow me to manage and optimize the characters who are going to be in this live drama. And the beauty of this setup is this still allows me to publish pages and still allows me to create emails. But this format here has really turned out to be optimal. And it means that what's going to happen is Coach, the tool on the front end, is going to end up being like the chatty guy. He's going to be like mostly for audio and like do stuff for you. At some point he might take on the visual, but I'm not sure if we need that. But definitely the voice, like, hey Spence, what's up? And I'll just talk to him. The lab is the workhorse. The lab now has so much incredible, powerful stuff in it. If you've not been following it, you definitely want to check that out. So I've been using the lab to do all of the stuff that's preparatory for this new ad campaign, which isn't really ads, which is a new social media campaign for Ank & Law, which is one of the bigger law firms in Chicago, and they're really progressive. So MinuteLaunch Persona is the way that we're going to get there. MinuteLaunch Persona has been my ongoing dream that I finally have achieved some outcomes on it that I'm really proud of. It's where we're able to create video at the same level as what I've been doing with Higgsfield or TopView or these other tools. So like, for example, here I'm in this tool that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, Higgsfield. I can use this for creating lots of stuff. Like, for example, here, I used it just to experiment with creating something like an animated video, right? So I'm going to actually take this video and I'm going to download it because I'm going to show you what we're going to do with these kinds of things when it comes to MinuteLaunch Persona. MinuteLaunch Persona allows us to take a client or members of the client's office and turn them into characters, actors. Why is this relevant? Because it seems that human nature being what it is, and let me label this something, that's Ank & Law. Human nature being what it is, people seem to be incredibly and immediately enamored when you turn them into a character. When I was meeting with Ank & Law, they have 80 attorneys. We started turning the attorneys into actors. Okay. So I'll give you a couple examples. Here's Jeff Shulkin. Now, Jeff Shulkin himself does not look exactly like this character. This is a version of Jeff that Jeff had some participation in, where we're trying to make them a little more Hollywood, a little more LA Law TV show kind of people. If you want to see what Jeff looks like in real life, and he's actually a good pal of mine, he's a brilliant attorney. Here's what he looks like in real life. He's kind of like the same difference between me and Fernando is like the same difference between, where's Jeff? Here. So here's Jeff in real life, kind of like younger version, slightly different version, but you can see the origin. If I go back over here and I don't want to lose the thing, you could kind of see the origin. This is like an older, maybe 60-year-old Jeff. Jeff is not 60 years old. The point is we're able to then use the tools of MinuteLaunch Persona to create the name of the actor, a description, which is here. I just used the actual description from Ank & Law, which was really super easy. We can jazz that up if we need to by using the AI tools that are here that would further elaborate on things, whether we do a talking or whether we do AI. We can use Jeff's real voice, or we can use a sample voice. Now, that's interesting because what I did there was I simply gave a sample here to the guy, Eric, who runs Ink and Law, and he's having Jeff and everybody else just read that and give me back an MP3, which will give me a perfect representation of Jeff's voice for this character when the videos are produced. We can also pick from pre-made voices if we wanted that are available on 11 Labs. Like I mentioned to you guys before, if I wanted, I could choose, make Jeff speak a British tone or whatever the case may be. All right. Once I've got that, I simply go into the dashboard or I go into the clips editor area and I can create, for example, Jeff Shulkin, here's a speech or a script, or I can reuse a previous script, which again, I don't know why this overlay doesn't show, but there's a drop-down menu there. I can have props or scenes or aspect ratio. I can change all of the things for production. But when it's all said and done, then we have the clip library. And this is where magic happens. So I've got organizational stuff where I can filter out just the videos for a particular client, in this case, like Ink and Law. And I've got versioning. So for example, if I am doing a before and after, I can do version 1 before, version 2 after. When I want to see the videos, I could just put them here. Now, I don't think you guys can hear it, but I'll give you guys the URL of this. Hold on. Here's the URL. You guys can listen to it if you want. This generates a couple things. First of all, it automatically does according to my script, which is, again, created with the help of the MinuteLaunch Lab, or indirectly it can be created right there. It creates the script in the scene for a 15-second video, UGC style, which user-generated. It creates originally without the captions, but then I can adjust and create the captions also automatically in this. Next, what I can do is if everything looks good, I can revoice it, I can tweak it, but I actually like this video. This is really good for one of the things we're going to be doing. So okay, so like that's Ink and Law part. Now, one of the things we've got is an option in here that I'm going to try for the first time here is intro, outro. And for intro, outro, we can essentially choose a source, saved bumper, media library, paste URL. Okay, so I'm going to go to the media library. I'm going to choose from that. Let's upload the little title clip that I just done. I have never tested this, by the way. So this is like live without a net. I'm going to use that as the intro. That's Ink and Law. And it's video, not static. I could also do a static image that fades in. I'm going to apply it. It just essentially remakes the video, and it will give me a new version, version 3. So I can track and manage multiple versions from the original concept to the first video, to the one with captions, to the one with the title. And you'll notice now I got version 3. Let's preview that and see what that looks like. Okay, now, I don't know if I'll do these as intros or I'll do them as outros. Maybe I'll do both. So we can, again, just edit this again. And let's do it as the outro too. So I'm going to do, it's interesting. I don't know if I saved this. I suppose I could save that. I haven't tried that yet, but that's a good feature. I'll just pick it again. That's Ink and Law. And I'll do it as the outro as well, because it seems like that would be logical. What I want you to notice is I've got $35 of credit in here. I am using a third-party service. You'll notice here where it says credit, how much each iteration costs. The credit I'm getting is from a service called TopView, but TopView is what I ended up using for this kind of stuff, because TopView is an incredibly wholesaled video production engine where we're not doing it there, we're doing it through an API, but they're selling access to the highest level tools at pennies on the dollar. In fact, we did some calculation. And it's about a third of the cost of even using Open Router. It's about half of the cost of using Higgsfield. So the idea for me was, this is how I can do the most stuff the most efficiently. Okay, so, and I got version 4. There should be an intro and an outro, and then I'm going to answer Lloyd's other question here. So there's the intro. It's a 15-second clip. Oh, I think I doubled it up, but. Now, I want you to see something. Let's finish it. Right, and that does the outro. Couple things, and then I want to answer Lloyd's question. Yesterday, I have another client, potentially, Dr. Tom Walsh, who's a veterinarian. And so watch this. What I did for Tom Walsh was a dramatic, cinematic one. I'll give you the URL of this. Okay, I'll copy this. What I love about this one is this is a similar sort of style, but it's like, watch the production quality and how this is more cinematic. Like, it tells a story. There's a dog and a lady. Watch this. It's freaking awesome. Like, I'm blown away. It took a while to get here because the tools I needed. I mean, I tried this a couple months ago. You guys might have remembered in MinuteLaunch video, and I had to end because it was just not working out. This is working. Okay. And so for this one, what's amazing is I ended up with like multiple characters. I can also, by the way, extract still images out of this, which is super awesome, because now if I go back over here, it's saving the stills, but I've got stuff that I can use for social media. Lloyd's asking, can we pull in avatars from other sites and sources and do it automatically through the use of Of course. That's the beauty of it. So all of these other tools like Higgsfield, they have an MCP, they have API, they have CLI, they have all the tools. That's the point, my man. That is it. That's the point. So if I wanted to do so, I could connect my desktop guy, which I've done, to Higgsfield, pull in stuff, or I can just use the direct link to pull stuff in. So for example, let's just go over here, and here's some characters and some videos. Here's, I'll pull one out that I like here. Here's a video of Howard that I actually had done, which is fascinating. But because I actually was able to dial it in and get it right. I'm just looking for a picture of somebody, I don't know. Here, this is like Ian. Okay. I can just go ahead to Ian and I can do the share thing and copy the link, and I can bring in Ian as a character, right? I can literally download him and upload him, but I can also just go over and, I believe, if I remember how I've done this, go over to actors, create an actor. I'll call this, Ian. I forgot how to spell his last name, but in fairness to Ian, it's Zenzipper. Very nice fellow. And I would probably get his, I'll obviously get his like biography and stuff, but I go over here, add from media library. And here we can just, interestingly, I thought I had the tool, and for some reason I don't see it right now, that I could put the URL in. I'll add the URL thing in there, but this is what I would do just as a Band-Aid. I'll just download this, no big deal, right? So if I just download Ian, okay. All I got to do is make sure it's not too big. So for that, image resizer, I don't need a 5 megabyte file. I can do a much smaller. So I'll lock him into being 900 pixels maximum. Download. That's the wrong thing I clicked on, by the way. I got spammed there. I clicked the wrong tool. Here, export. So all I do is grab him. It's still a little big, 500, but it'll work. And I put him in. And then, ta-da, I ask it to make, at a minimum, a contact sheet, because what the contact sheet does is, this reference sheet, I should say, this gives you the body parts and everything in multiple angles. Now, what I've been doing is I've been using the contact sheet, but I've also added multiple items from other images, because if you use your own tools, you could just import all of the images into the media library, like I just showed you. That's probably the most practical way. And then you've got those as references. But when you use those to create a reference sheet, it also shows the computer what his body might look like and all other aspects. And then I can choose a voice or load his voice. And now Ian could be used. The videos are, I'm going to suggest to you right now, 15 seconds for each clip. But that doesn't mean you have to stop at 15 seconds. There's an editorial capability I just showed you that you can like piece together clips. Whether you do it here or do it elsewhere, it doesn't much matter. But the idea is 15-second clips, because otherwise you end up with a real problem. Like when it goes and generates the clips, it's relatively inexpensive for what you get. But let's say it's 37.5 credits. I think your cost is like 30 cents a credit, roughly. So that's 15 seconds is costing you about $10. Okay. If you did a minute, you'd be taking $40 bet on the casino craps table. Like right now, I'm betting $10 that this version that it created is good enough. I don't think I want to bet $40 every time. And you can adjust, by the way, when you make a clip, you can adjust the quality. So I would recommend that you start in sheep mode and get it right, get it dialed in, and then you move on to best mode. And the clip lengths you can see are 5, 10, and 15 seconds, because anything above that, first of all, I don't think Seed Dance can do more than 30 seconds, but I didn't even put that in as an option, because I already have been trying this so often that I know you just do not want to go making 30-second clips. But you can take the individual things and piece them together. Now, notice I didn't show you this, but I've also got the setup. The setup gives you full control here over the configuration defaults. Like, what's your default aspect? I like this 9 by 16. That's the vertical format for social media. I am using this TopView as the engine. Notice you can use some of these other tools that are available, but they have what's called guardrails. The guardrails are, they don't want you to knock off a copy of your ex-husband or wife and make videos of them doing crazy stuff. So if it looks too realistic, they kind of block you. Ironically, TopView has no such, or at least very limited such controls, and it's way less expensive. So that's how, after trial and error, I ended up using TopView as my primary engine, and I'm getting remarkably good results from that. You choose the lip sync model. You can choose the voice default library and so forth. So in other words, this is your setup as your defaults. Then you've got the ability, I'm not sure this is why this is on this side, but you can build your library of voices here. We can choose the default caption style. Notice I had that same orange, but see, I can adjust all of this here. And I think this has been really amazing, because with one click, I'm able to make the original video from a character with one photo, put the voice on it, caption it, save it, iterate on it, add an intro and outro. I mean, it's crazy town, and I'm doing it at a discounted price. But more importantly, and this is the big deal, MinuteLaunch Social has these available to it. So now, if I wanted to use these, first of all, I'm on MinuteLaunch Persona. If I went in and I chose MinuteLaunch Social and I enabled it, just turned it on, okay, I would now have the ability to socially post all of these things as complete projects, and I can use them remotely as well. So even in MinuteLaunch Persona, I've got this ability to save and share the media library. Remember, media library P2P. So if I went to, Media Hub P2P, if I went over here, I could share all of these videos over to my other library or to my client's library. This is funny, because this is one of the tools I built way back when. You just generate a share key, copy it, you paste it over in another site, and you're able to use that content. So let's call this ML Persona, or you just take the individual videos, but this is kind of neat. So copy this and let's see if it works. Haven't tried this today, folks. But if I go over here to MinuteLaunch Media Hub P2P, saving and sharing. I'm going to connect to another library. I'm going to paste this in, connect. Let's see if it works. Notice it's connected to ML Persona. For some reason, it's also connected to Lloyd's stuff. I'm not sure what's up. Lloyd, what happened? Did we have a call about that? In any event, if I go to my media library, let's see if I can see this, which is kind of interesting. And honestly, I do not remember. This is something that I have to remind myself. I have to refresh remote media. Here we go. I forgot how to do it. It's been so long. You guys remember I made this tool like a year ago. I knew someday it would come in handy. Okay, so what it's doing is it's talking to MinuteLaunch Persona and it's indexing all of the character images, all the video images, etc. Now, you might remember, if not, I'll remind you, this tool allows you to create special libraries for free or for sale. You can imagine you could create content if you wanted to that you do right on your client's site, but you can also create a library of stuff that you could theoretically sell and share, which would be kind of interesting as well. In the meantime, while it's indexing, because those are pretty big files, if I just go to the media library, here's the poor man's version of this. Every one of these things is available, right? So if I was to look at the videos of clip 159 with bumpers, this is the actual URL, and I should be able to see the video regardless. It's an MP4 file, right? So this is the bumper that I just created, but let's see if I can find, let's think, I could find, one of the other videos that I produced, like here's the Jeff Shulkin or something like that. So you shouldn't worry about the fact that you're losing everything. You're not. Everything that you've created is available and it's referenceable. So if I copied this, I could go over and socially post it, which was my original point. So if I go to MinuteLaunch Social, and by the way, I can add this to my media library manually, but if I go over here to dashboard and compose, this is where it's going to end up. I'm going to end up in a scenario where I'm going to compose a post and I would put it on Twitter or whatever. And I would use content. So I would add media, add from media library, add URL. I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to say, I would probably have Fernando do it, but it would be like, hey, check out this sample clip from MinuteLaunch Persona, Hollywood studio in a box on WordPress. Oh my God. Okay. Optimize it for the one network so that it will put the appropriate hashtags, all the rest. By the way, this can be done just automatically, or this can be done by, preferences. We've been tracking the use of this round trip. Crazy good. And then I'll publish now. Why not? And it could also generate the email. So the goal for this, and why I'm talking about this, is that you're trying to get more and more people into your FluentCRM by being on social media. How do you do that? Well, that's where MinuteLaunch Capture comes in. And I have to go fast because I have a meeting with the Inc. Law office in a couple minutes, and I'm going to call Uncle at 11. But if I go to InstaWP, MinuteLaunch Capture, actually don't need to worry about that. MinuteLaunch Capture is live. So if we were to go to here, MinuteLaunch Capture is in the plugin manager today. You just need to turn it on. So ML Capture, okay, it's on. MinuteLaunch Capture allows you essentially to create campaigns for any social media that you've got that gives people a special link that when you post the video or post the social media, it says, get this free thing or do this free thing or whatever. The idea being they give you instantly their email. That's the whole point of it. So I'm going to use this one just for expediency. It's the way to get your audience off of social and into your CRM, which is where you need them in order to do the things that we're talking about, like to own an audience in a nice way, in a humanistic way, like Russell Brunson says. You need to have them in your CRM. And so here I've been using MinuteLaunch Capture, and I've got the campaigns like here's Chris Fallon Volkswagen Club. Okay. It instantly sets up, and I have all the terminology. I put in his YouTube and his website. It gets the brand. It does all of the setup for you. Now, you can then give this link to the influencer. Like this is Chris Fallon. So this is like my client. And these are all of his links. Watch what happens if he uses his YouTube link, which he can easily manage and copy with this very special serialized unique URL. This is not likely to be discovered or found by anybody. Watch what happens. This gives a custom landing page that anybody could go ahead and say, you know, Bob at mygod.com. Okay. Instantly count me in. That will use the MinuteLaunch Captures connection to the Fluent CRM, and it will add the person in. So there should be my God should be in there. Bob at my God. Okay. But notice a couple things. First of all, he's in here and we've got the campaign of where he came from and which source, YouTube. But notice we've not gotten an opt-in from him yet. We're waiting to make sure that he says, yeah, this is really me, so that we don't fill up a junk email list, right? Which would be tragic. But the neat thing is, now I've taken one more person out of Chris Fallon's YouTube 170,000 followers, and now they're in the CRM, and I know when and where and how. So Fernando can do like I showed you at the beginning and go, hey, Chris, I got this really interesting thing. I did a little research on you using MinuteLaunch Prospect, and I would like to tell you a little bit more about the stuff that we can do for you and your business because I did the research on it. And by the way, here's a video of you as a character with whatever it is that we're doing inside of MinuteLaunch Persona, right? Like turn Chris Fallon just by grabbing his face and validating. Fernando can do all this stuff now. I hate to do this to you guys, but I'm actually going to end on time today because I have a meeting. I want to suggest to you my next video, or maybe this week, I'm going to talk about how things are going. Things are going remarkably well, not only for myself, but for many of you as my clients and customers, because what we're doing, what we're selling is essentially media services, marketing services, a platform that does all the AI stuff that you own and control at a discount. All of these things I've been talking about have come to fruition, and it's really blowing my mind. So I don't want to be too detailed because I want to leave and leave you a cliffhanger. My next video is going to talk about how to do the same thing. If you have been thinking about being a concierge client, a VIP client, now is definitely the time. And I will say this why. The tools are always going to be here, and they're going to get easier and easier. And I'm going to have Fernando giving you more and more like, here's how to get started. But we're definitely in the moment in time, and that's why Ankit Law and I are going to have a conversation where we've moved up from the armpit of the curve to the shoulder of the curve. We're just at the ear of the curve. If you don't get on this now, everybody else is going to be doing their version of it, and there will be somebody else that'll get there first, and that person's relationship will be with your potential client. It's as simple as that. I love you guys. Happy to answer questions. Send me emails. Hope today was informative. Look forward to doing more. See you in the next one.